My name is Victoria Sterling, and last Christmas Eve, my husband's family deliberately excluded me from their annual family photograph while celebrating at what they believed was simply their favorite upscale restaurant. 3 hours later, when they discovered I was the sole owner of Meridian Grove, the establishment where they had been dining monthly for the past 4 years, their expressions of shock and mortification became a moment I will never forget. This revelation marked the culmination of a journey that transformed me from a dismissed daughter-in-law into a successful entrepreneur whose quiet achievements had been hiding in plain sight. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The foundation of my story began in the industrial town of Millfield, Pennsylvania, where I was raised by my grandmother Dorothy after my parents died in a car accident when I was 8 years old. Dorothy worked as a seamstress in a textile factory, while also taking in alterations from local residents to supplement her modest income. Our small row house on Maple Street became my sanctuary, where I learned the values of hard work, financial independence, and quiet dignity that would guide me through the challenges ahead. Dorothy had immigrated from Ireland in the 1950s with nothing more than her sewing skills and an unwavering belief that education and determination could overcome any obstacle. She often told me stories of her early years in America, when she worked 16-hour days to establish her reputation as the finest seamstress in 3 counties. Her clients included wealthy families from the neighboring suburbs who would drive across town specifically to have their formal wear altered by someone they trusted to understand both quality and discretion. These wealthy clients fascinated me during my childhood visits to Dorothy's workroom. I observed how they carried themselves, how they spoke about their social obligations, and how they treated service providers with a mixture of dependence and dismissal that seemed contradictory. Dorothy taught me to listen carefully to their conversations about business dealings, social hierarchies, and family dynamics while maintaining professional distance and never gossiping about what we observed. The most valuable lesson Dorothy imparted was the importance of financial independence for women. She had witnessed too many intelligent women become trapped in unhappy marriages because they lacked the resources to support themselves independently. Every week, she set aside a portion of her earnings in a savings account that she called her Freedom Fund, money that could never be touched except for genuine emergencies or opportunities for advancement. My academic performance in high school attracted the attention of Mrs. Patterson, the guidance counselor who had grown up in similar circumstances and understood the challenges facing students from working-class backgrounds. She helped me navigate the college application process and identify scholarship opportunities that would make higher education financially feasible. Her guidance proved invaluable in securing admission to State University with sufficient financial aid to cover tuition and living expenses. The transition to university life presented cultural challenges that extended beyond academic preparation. Many of my classmates possessed social confidence and cultural knowledge that reflected privileged backgrounds I had never experienced. Their casual discussions of family vacations, private school experiences, and professional networks revealed a world of advantages that had been invisible to me during my sheltered upbringing in Millfield. Rather than feeling intimidated by these differences, I became fascinated by the business principles and social dynamics that created such vast disparities in opportunity and outcome. I declared a double major in business administration and hospitality management, driven by curiosity about how successful enterprises were built and maintained across different market segments. My hospitality management courses included extensive study of restaurant operations, from front-of-house service standards to back-of-house efficiency optimization. The complexity of managing food costs, labor expenses, customer satisfaction, and profit margins while maintaining quality standards appealed to my analytical nature and detail-oriented mindset, developed through years of observing Dorothy's meticulous approach to her alterations business. During my junior year, I secured an internship at the Grandview Country Club, an exclusive establishment that served the wealthiest families in the metropolitan area. The position involved working in various departments to gain comprehensive understanding of hospitality operations, from event planning to dining room service to administrative functions that supported member relations. The country club experience provided invaluable insights into the preferences, expectations, and behavioral patterns of affluent clientele. I observed how successful service providers anticipated needs without being intrusive, maintained discretion about personal information, and created atmospheres of comfort and exclusivity that justified premium pricing. These observations would prove instrumental in developing my own business philosophy years later. More importantly, the internship revealed how many successful business owners had started with modest backgrounds similar to my own. Several members shared stories of building their enterprises from small beginnings, often facing skepticism from family members or social circles who underestimated their potential for significant achievement. Their examples provided inspiration and practical guidance for pursuing entrepreneurial ambitions despite limited initial resources. My senior year brought the challenge of deciding between immediate employment opportunities and pursuing advanced education that might expand my career prospects. Several hospitality companies had extended job offers that would provide steady income and professional development within established organizational structures. However, I felt drawn toward gaining additional business knowledge that would prepare me for eventual entrepreneurship. I accepted admission to the MBA program at Regional Business College, a decision that required taking student loans to supplement the partial assistantship I had secured. The additional debt felt overwhelming at times, but Dorothy supported my choice to invest in education that would expand my capabilities and opportunities beyond what immediate employment might provide. The MBA program exposed me to sophisticated financial analysis, strategic planning, and marketing concepts that transformed my understanding of business operations and competitive dynamics. Case studies of successful restaurant chains and hospitality enterprises revealed how systematic approaches to customer experience, operational efficiency, and market positioning could create sustainable competitive advantages. My thesis project involved developing a comprehensive business plan for an upscale restaurant concept that would serve suburban professionals seeking elevated dining experiences without the formality or expense of traditional fine dining establishments. The research required extensive market analysis, financial projections, and operational planning that provided practical experience in the systematic thinking required for successful entrepreneurship. Professor Williams, who supervised my thesis research, had previously owned a successful restaurant before transitioning to academic work following the sale of his business. His mentorship provided insights into the practical challenges of restaurant ownership that textbooks could not convey, from managing seasonal fluctuations in revenue to maintaining staff morale during high-pressure periods, to balancing customer satisfaction with profitability requirements. The business plan I developed for my thesis received recognition from the faculty committee and generated interest from local investors who were seeking opportunities in the hospitality sector. While I was not yet prepared to implement the concept, immediately following graduation, the positive reception validated my analytical approach and gave me confidence that entrepreneurship represented a viable career path. Upon completing my MBA, I accepted a management position with Morrison Hospitality Group, a regional company that operated mid-scale restaurants across 3 states. The role provided comprehensive experience in restaurant operations while allowing me to observe different market segments and management approaches within the same organizational structure. My responsibilities included financial analysis, staff, training, customer service optimization, and operational efficiency improvements across multiple locations. The position required frequent travel and exposure to diverse market conditions that expanded my understanding of how local demographics, competition levels, and economic factors influenced restaurant performance and profitability. Working within an established restaurant group revealed both the advantages and limitations of corporate structures in the hospitality industry. While systematic approaches and shared resources enabled consistency and efficiency, Corporate requirements also constrained innovation and responsiveness to local market opportunities. This experience reinforced my interest in independent ownership that would allow greater flexibility and creative control. During my second year with Morrison Hospitality, I began developing a comprehensive understanding of restaurant acquisition opportunities in emerging suburban markets, where demographic trends suggested growing demand for upscale casual dining options. My analysis identified several markets where established competitors had not yet recognized the potential for sophisticated dining experiences that would appeal to affluent professionals moving to these communities. The market research I conducted during evening and weekend hours revealed a specific opportunity in Westchester County, a rapidly growing suburb where new residential developments were attracting young professionals and established executives, seeking larger homes and better schools for their families. The area lacked upscale dining options that could accommodate both business entertaining and family celebrations in an atmosphere of refined comfort. This research led to the identification of a specific property that had previously housed a failed casual dining establishment in an ideal location with excellent visibility, ample parking, and proximity to both residential neighborhoods and business districts. The previous restaurant had failed due to poor management and inconsistent food quality, rather than location disadvantages or market limitations. The opportunity required significant financial resources that exceeded my personal savings, but the comprehensive business plan I had developed provided the foundation for approaching potential investors and lenders. The systematic market analysis, financial projections, and operational planning demonstrated the viability of the concept while highlighting my preparation and commitment to successful implementation. The decision to pursue restaurant ownership represented a significant risk that would require leaving the security of corporate employment for the uncertainty and complete responsibility of entrepreneurship. However, my years of preparation, combined with the clear market opportunity I had identified, made the risk feel calculated rather than reckless. Dorothy, now in her 70s but still sharp and supportive, encouraged my entrepreneurial ambitions while insisting that I maintain the financial discipline and attention to detail that had characterized her own business success. Her blessing, and the practical wisdom she continued to share, provided emotional support and practical guidance as I prepared to take this significant step toward independent business ownership. The foundation for everything that would follow had been established. Through years of systematic preparation, careful observation, and strategic planning, the skills I had developed, the market knowledge I had acquired, and the financial resources I had accumulated were about to be tested through the challenge of transforming a failed restaurant location into a successful upscale dining destination. My transition from corporate employee to restaurant owner began with securing financing for the Westchester County opportunity I had identified through my market research. The process required presenting my business plan to multiple lenders and investors while demonstrating both my industry experience and personal commitment to the venture's success. The financial requirements included not only the initial purchase price and renovation costs, but also working capital sufficient to sustain operations during the initial months when revenue would be building toward profitability. My conservative projections assumed 12 months would be required to establish market presence and achieve consistent positive cash flow. First National Bank ultimately provided the primary financing package after extensive review of my financial projections, market analysis, and operational plans. The loan terms required personal guarantees and collateral that represented significant risk, but the bank's confidence in the concept validated my strategic thinking and market assessment. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The renovation process consumed 4 months of intensive planning and execution to transform the failed restaurant space into the upscale casual dining environment I had envisioned. Every design decision required balancing aesthetic appeal with operational efficiency while maintaining budget constraints that would preserve sufficient Working capital for the critical opening period. I personally supervised all aspects of the renovation to ensure quality standards while also learning every detail of the restaurant's physical systems and operational requirements. This hands-on approach proved invaluable during the opening period when comprehensive understanding of every component enabled quick problem-solving and efficient operations management. The staff recruitment and training process required identifying individuals who possessed both the technical skills and service orientation necessary for delivering the elevated customer experience that would differentiate the restaurant from casual dining competitors. Many candidates had experience in chain restaurants, but required additional training to meet the standards of attentiveness and sophistication that upscale casual dining demanded. Kitchen staff selection proved particularly challenging, as the menu concept required culinary skills that exceeded typical casual dining preparation while remaining accessible to a broad customer base. The executive chef I ultimately hired had trained in fine dining establishments, but was seeking an opportunity to develop a more approachable cuisine style that would showcase his creativity while appealing to suburban families and business diners. The menu development process involved extensive testing and refinement to achieve the balance of sophistication and accessibility that would appeal to our target demographic. Each dish required careful cost analysis to ensure profitability while maintaining portion sizes and ingredient quality that would justify our pricing strategy and generate customer satisfaction. Marketing and promotion for the opening required building awareness among the target demographic while establishing the restaurant's positioning as a superior alternative to existing dining options in the area. The campaign included direct mail to affluent neighborhoods, partnerships with local business organizations, and strategic presence at community events where potential customers could sample our offerings. The opening night exceeded our most optimistic projections for customer volume and response. The combination of exceptional food quality, attentive service, and elegant atmosphere created the immediate positive impression that would be essential for generating word-of-mouth recommendations and repeat customers. Critical early reviews from local food critics and lifestyle publications praised both the cuisine and service standards, while noting the sophisticated ambiance that elevated the dining experience above typical suburban restaurant offerings. These reviews provided third-party validation that reinforced our marketing messages and attracted customers who relied on professional recommendations. Within 6 months of opening, Meridian Grove had established itself as the premier dining destination for special occasions and business entertaining in Westchester County. Revenue consistently exceeded projections, and customer feedback indicated high satisfaction levels with both food quality and service standards. The success attracted attention from other restaurant owners and hospitality professionals who were curious about our operational approaches and market positioning strategies. Several requested consultations or offered partnership opportunities, but I remained focused on perfecting our current operations rather than expanding before establishing a solid foundation. Customer demographics analysis revealed that our clientele included many of the affluent families I had hoped to attract, including executives, professional couples, and multi-generational families celebrating special occasions. The average customer, visit frequency and spending levels confirmed that we had successfully created a dining experience that justified our premium pricing while encouraging regular patronage. Staff retention and development became priorities, as our success created opportunities for team members to advance within our organization, while also making them attractive candidates for competitors seeking experienced personnel. Implementing comprehensive training programs and competitive compensation packages helped maintain the service consistency that was essential for our reputation. The restaurant's growing reputation led to requests for private dining and special event hosting that provided additional revenue opportunities while showcasing our capabilities to potential new customers. These events often included influential community members whose satisfaction and recommendations extended our market reach beyond traditional advertising channels. Financial performance during the first year exceeded all projections, with profitability achieved 2 months earlier than the most optimistic scenario in my business plan. The strong cash flow enabled accelerated debt repayment while building reserves for future expansion or enhancement opportunities. Professional recognition came through industry associations and local business organizations that acknowledged both the restaurant's success and my achievement in creating a new market standard for upscale casual dining in suburban locations. These accolades provided credibility that would prove valuable for future business development opportunities. The foundation had been established for everything that would follow. Meridian Grove was no longer just a restaurant, but a respected business that had earned its place as the preferred dining destination for Westchester County's most discerning residents. The stage was set for the personal challenges that would test not only my business acumen, but also my resilience in the face of family dynamics that would attempt to diminish both my achievements and my worth. The circumstances surrounding my introduction to the Wellington family occurred during my second year of operating Meridian Grove, when the restaurant had established its reputation as the premier dining destination in Westchester County. I met Charles Wellington at a Chamber of Commerce networking event, where local business leaders gathered to discuss economic development initiatives and forge professional relationships that would benefit the broader community. Charles commanded attention in any room he entered, possessing the confident bearing and polished presentation that reflected his position as senior partner at Wellington, Morrison & Associates, one of the region's most prestigious law firms. His family had established the practice 3 generations earlier, building a client base that included many of the area's most influential families and successful enterprises. During our initial conversation at the networking event, Charles demonstrated genuine interest in my restaurant's success and asked thoughtful questions about the challenges of independent business ownership in the competitive hospitality industry. His knowledge of business operations and market dynamics revealed the sophisticated understanding that had enabled his law firm to provide strategic counsel to clients across various industries. Our discussion evolved from professional topics to personal interests as the evening progressed. Charles expressed appreciation for fine dining and admitted that he and his colleagues frequently dined at Meridian Grove for both business meetings and client entertainment. His compliments about our service standards and cuisine quality felt authentic rather than perfunctory, suggesting he possessed genuine appreciation for the hospitality experience we had created. The attraction between us developed gradually through subsequent encounters at community events and professional gatherings. Charles possessed intellectual depth and cultural sophistication that reflected his privileged education and extensive travel experiences. His stories of international business trips and cultural exploration revealed a worldview that extended far beyond the suburban environment where we both conducted our professional activities. Our first formal date occurred 6 weeks after the initial networking event, when Charles invited me to attend a classical music performance at the Regional Symphony Hall. The evening provided opportunity for extended conversation about our respective backgrounds, professional ambitions, and personal values that would determine compatibility for a more serious relationship. Charles displayed remarkable attentiveness during our early dating period, remembering details from previous conversations and planning activities that aligned with interests I had mentioned casually. His thoughtfulness and consideration created a sense of being valued and appreciated that contrasted favorably with previous relationships, where partners had seemed more focused on their own needs and preferences. The revelation of his family's prominence in local society emerged gradually through stories about his childhood and references to social obligations that required his participation. The Wellington family name appeared regularly in the society pages of local publications, associated with charitable foundations, cultural institutions, and political activities that shaped community development and social dynamics. Charles's description of his family initially emphasized their commitment to public service and community involvement, rather than their considerable wealth and social status. He spoke about his parents' dedication to charitable causes and his siblings' achievements in their respective professional fields with pride that seemed rooted in genuine admiration rather than mere family loyalty. The first invitation to meet his family came during our 4th month of dating, when Charles suggested I accompany him to his nephew's graduation party at the family estate. The casual manner in which he extended the invitation suggested he viewed the introduction as a natural progression in our relationship, rather than a significant milestone requiring special preparation. My anticipation about meeting the Wellington family reflected both excitement about deepening my relationship with Charles and natural anxiety about gaining acceptance from people whose approval would significantly influence our future together. The importance Charles placed on family harmony and tradition made their reception of me a crucial factor in determining whether our relationship could progress toward marriage. The Wellington estate occupied 12 acres of meticulously landscaped grounds in the most exclusive section of Westchester County, featuring a Georgian colonial mansion that had been expanded and renovated over 3 generations to accommodate the family's growing prosperity and social obligations. The property conveyed old money elegance through understated luxury rather than ostentatious display. Charles's mother, Margaret Wellington, possessed the refined bearing and social grace that reflected decades of leadership within the community's cultural and charitable organizations. Her welcome appeared genuinely warm during our introduction, though I detected the careful assessment that experienced hostesses employ when evaluating new additions to their social circles. The conversation during cocktails before dinner revealed the family's extensive network of social and professional connections throughout the region. References to shared acquaintances, common educational backgrounds, and overlapping social activities created an atmosphere of insider knowledge that subtly emphasized the boundaries between established families and newer arrivals to their community. Charles's father, Robert Wellington, demonstrated the commanding presence and strategic thinking that had built his law firm into one of the region's most respected practices. His questions about my restaurant focused on business fundamentals, rather than operational details, revealing his interest in understanding my entrepreneurial capabilities and financial acumen. The family's oldest son, Michael, had followed his father into the law firm after completing his education at Harvard Law School and establishing his expertise in corporate mergers and acquisitions. His wife, Patricia, came from a similarly prominent family and had dedicated herself to managing their 3 children's educational and social development while maintaining active involvement in several charitable organizations. Charles's sister, Catherine, had married a successful investment banker and relocated to Manhattan, though she maintained close ties to the family and frequently returned for holidays and special celebrations. Her husband, James Morrison, possessed connections to Wall Street financial circles that provided the family with investment opportunities and market insights that enhanced their considerable wealth. The youngest sibling, Andrew, had surprised the family by pursuing academic research in economics rather than joining the family law practice. His position as a professor at a prestigious university provided intellectual credibility that the family valued, though his income level fell below their expectations for professional achievement and social standing. During dinner, the conversation flowed through topics ranging from cultural events and travel experiences to political developments and economic trends. The family's knowledge and opinions reflected both extensive education and ongoing engagement with current affairs through personal connections and professional activities that provided insider perspectives on significant issues. My contributions to the discussion drew upon my business experience and academic background, though I remained careful to demonstrate respect for their knowledge and avoid appearing presumptuous about subjects where they possessed greater expertise. The balance between participating meaningfully and showing appropriate deference required constant attention throughout the evening. The subtle interrogation about my background began during dessert, when Margaret Wellington expressed interest in learning about my family and educational experiences. Her questions appeared friendly and conversational, though I recognized the systematic information gathering that would enable assessment of my suitability for inclusion in their social circle. My responses about Dorothy's immigration story and my scholarship-based education were received with polite interest, though I detected slight discomfort when the conversation touched on working-class background and the financial constraints that had shaped my upbringing. The family's expressions suggested sympathy rather than identification with experiences that differed significantly from their privileged circumstances. Charles's defense of my achievements and his obvious pride in my restaurant's success provided reassurance that he valued my accomplishments despite any concerns his family might harbor about our different backgrounds. His advocacy demonstrated the strength of his feelings and his willingness to prioritize our relationship over family preferences if necessary. The evening concluded with expressions of pleasure about meeting me and invitations to future family gatherings, though the warmth felt somewhat forced and conditional upon my continued demonstration of appropriate behavior and social compatibility. The family's politeness masked reservations that would become more apparent as our relationship progressed. My reflection on the experience during the drive home with Charles revealed mixed feelings about the evening's success. While no obvious conflicts had emerged and the family had treated me with courtesy, the underlying assessment and the subtle emphasis on social boundaries created awareness that acceptance would require ongoing demonstration of worthiness rather than automatic inclusion. Charles's positive interpretation of the evening and his excitement about introducing me to extended family members suggested he had not perceived the undercurrents of reservation that I had detected. His privileged background had perhaps made him less sensitive to the subtle social dynamics that those from different circumstances learn to recognize for protection and navigation. The relationship progressed smoothly over the following months, with regular invitations to family events and increasing inclusion in social activities that expanded my exposure to the Wellington family's extensive network of friends and associates. Each gathering provided additional opportunities to demonstrate compatibility while also revealing more clearly the expectations and standards that governed acceptance within their social circle. The engagement announcement 18 months after our first meeting was received with apparent enthusiasm by the Wellington family, though I remained aware that their approval reflected Charles's determination rather than unconditional embrace of me as an equal family member. The dynamics established during our courtship period would continue to influence our marriage and my relationship with his family. The engagement period provided extended exposure to Wellington family dynamics and social expectations that revealed the complex hierarchy and unspoken rules governing their interactions with outsiders. Wedding planning became the vehicle through which Margaret Wellington exercised control over decisions, while simultaneously educating me about the standards and traditions that would define my role within the family structure. The selection of venues, vendors, and guest lists required Margaret's approval, ostensibly because of her experience with social events and her connections within the community's service providers. Her guidance proved valuable for navigating the preferences and expectations of the prominent families who would attend our wedding, though her involvement also established patterns of deference that would continue beyond the ceremony. Margaret's suggestions about wedding dress selection, floral arrangements, and reception details reflected sophisticated taste and attention to social signaling that would communicate appropriate messages about our union to the community's observers. Her expertise in managing such details demonstrated the complexity of maintaining social position through careful attention to appearances and symbolic communication. The pre-wedding social obligations included numerous gatherings where Charles's extended family and close friends could meet me in various contexts and evaluate my suitability for permanent inclusion in their circle. These events provided opportunities to demonstrate social grace, while also revealing the extent to which my acceptance remained conditional and probationary. Conversations during these gatherings often included references to shared experiences, mutual acquaintances, and common backgrounds that emphasized the insularity of their social network. My efforts to contribute meaningfully to discussions were received politely, though the subtle exclusion from insider knowledge and shared history maintained clear boundaries between established members and recent additions. The bridal shower, organized by Patricia Wellington and Catherine Morrison, reflected their social sophistication while also demonstrating the gift-giving customs and relationship obligations that would govern future family interactions. The presents included items that reflected assumptions about my domestic skills and lifestyle preferences that revealed how they perceived my role within Charles's life. The rehearsal dinner provided final opportunity for both families to interact. Before the wedding ceremony, though the significant disparity in social status and cultural background created uncomfortable dynamics that required careful management throughout the evening, Dorothy's grace and dignity during these interactions earned respect, while also highlighting the differences that would continue to influence family relationships. The wedding ceremony itself proceeded flawlessly, reflecting months of careful planning and the professional execution that Margaret Wellington's connections and oversight had ensured. The celebration provided definitive public recognition of my inclusion in the Wellington family, while also establishing expectations for my future behavior and social obligations. The honeymoon in Europe offered respite from family dynamics, while providing opportunity for Charles and me to establish our own relationship patterns independent of external pressures and expectations. Our travels revealed his genuine appreciation for my perspectives and his commitment to building a partnership based on mutual respect rather than traditional gender roles or social conventions. The return to domestic life required navigating the balance between maintaining our independence as a married couple while fulfilling obligations to Charles's family that included regular attendance at social events, participation in charitable activities, and adherence to behavioral standards that reflected appropriately on the Wellington reputation. My restaurant's continued success during this period provided financial independence and professional identity that distinguished me from other wives in the Wellington social circle who had either inherited wealth or focused exclusively on domestic and charitable activities. This difference created both admiration and subtle resentment that would influence future family dynamics. The first year of marriage established routines and relationships that would define our long-term interactions with Charles's family. While acceptance had been achieved through my marriage to Charles, genuine inclusion and equal treatment remained elusive goals that would require ongoing demonstration of worthiness and careful navigation of complex social expectations. The foundation had been established for the conflicts and revelations that would eventually culminate in the Christmas photo incident. My position within the Wellington family remained that of an outsider who had been granted conditional access, rather than an equal member whose opinions and preferences carried weight equivalent to those of established family members. The stage was set for the testing of these relationships and the ultimate revelation that would transform family dynamics forever. My quiet achievement in building a successful business that exceeded their own accomplishments would provide the dramatic contrast between their perceptions and reality that would make the Christmas photo exclusion particularly significant and the subsequent revelation especially powerful. The early months of marriage to Charles Wellington revealed the complex balance required to maintain both my professional independence and my role within his family's social structure. Our new home in Millbrook Heights represented a carefully chosen compromise between the exclusive neighborhoods where his family resided and the accessibility to my restaurant that my business operations required. The Colonial Revival House occupied 2 acres of professionally landscaped grounds that provided privacy while maintaining the prestigious address that would satisfy Wellington family expectations for appropriate housing. Charles had insisted on purchasing the property outright, rather than accepting his parents' offer to provide a family estate property. Recognizing my need for independence and our mutual desire to establish our own household free from external oversight, the interior design process required negotiating between my preferences for comfortable elegance and Charles's expectations for formal entertaining spaces that would accommodate business associates and family gatherings. The resulting compromise created sophisticated yet welcoming environments that reflected both our personalities, while meeting the social obligations that accompanied his professional position. My restaurant's continued expansion during this period demanded increasing attention and strategic planning as customer demand exceeded our current capacity and competitors began attempting to replicate our success in neighboring markets. The decision to renovate and expand Meridian Grove represented significant financial investment and operational risk that would test both my business acumen and our marriage's ability to withstand professional pressures. Charles provided unwavering support for my business decisions, while occasionally expressing concern about the time demands and stress levels that restaurant ownership created during expansion phases. His legal expertise proved valuable for contract negotiations and regulatory compliance issues, though I remained careful to maintain primary responsibility for strategic decisions and operational management. The renovation project required closing the restaurant for 6 weeks during the traditionally slow winter period, creating both lost revenue and increased construction costs that strained our financial resources despite careful planning and conservative projections. The stress of managing contractors, suppliers, and staff schedules while maintaining quality standards tested my leadership capabilities and emotional resilience. The reopening celebration exceeded all expectations for attendance and media coverage, establishing Meridian Grove as the definitive upscale dining destination for the broader metropolitan region, rather than simply the preferred restaurant for Westchester County residents. The expanded seating capacity and enhanced kitchen facilities enabled us to accommodate the increased demand while maintaining the service standards that had built our reputation. Professional recognition followed rapidly after the successful expansion, including features in regional lifestyle publications and invitations to participate in culinary events that connected me with other successful restaurant owners and hospitality industry leaders. These opportunities provided validation of my business achievements while also expanding my professional network beyond the local market. The success attracted attention from hospitality investment groups interested in franchising our concept or acquiring the restaurant for expansion into other markets. While the financial offers were substantial, I remained committed to maintaining independent ownership and control over the quality standards and operational decisions that had created our success. My growing prominence in the hospitality industry began creating invitations to serve on professional associations and community development boards that recognized both my business achievements and my potential contributions to broader economic development initiatives. These leadership opportunities provided platforms for sharing expertise while building relationships that would support future business development. Charles expressed genuine pride in my accomplishments and often mentioned my success during conversations with colleagues and family members, though I detected occasional discomfort when my professional recognition exceeded his own achievements. Within the legal field, the dynamic created subtle tension that required careful navigation to preserve both our individual identities and our marriage relationship. The first major family conflict emerged during our 6th month of marriage, when Margaret Wellington suggested that my expanding business responsibilities were creating an inappropriate focus on professional activities rather than the domestic and social obligations that traditionally defined wives within their social circle. Her concerns reflected generational differences about women's roles and expectations for family participation. The criticism was delivered through Charles rather than directly to me, creating the uncomfortable dynamic of my husband serving as intermediary for his mother's disapproval rather than defending my choices and supporting my professional ambitions. His reluctance to confront his family's expectations revealed the ongoing influence they maintained over his decisions, despite our marriage and independent household. My response emphasized the financial benefits that my restaurant's success provided for our household, while also noting that my professional achievements enhanced rather than diminished the Wellington family's reputation within the community. The measured defense avoided direct confrontation while establishing clear boundaries about my commitment to maintaining both business and family responsibilities. The resolution of this initial conflict established patterns that would characterize future disagreements with Charles's family. Their concerns would be expressed indirectly through family members rather than open discussion, requiring diplomatic responses that acknowledged their perspectives while maintaining my position and decisions. The second year of marriage brought increased business demands as Meridian Grove's reputation attracted customers from throughout the tri-state region and generated opportunities for expansion that required careful evaluation and strategic planning. The restaurant's success had exceeded my most optimistic projections, creating both financial rewards and operational challenges that demanded sophisticated management approaches. The decision to implement a reservation system for weekend dining reflected the reality that demand consistently exceeded our seating capacity despite the recent expansion. The change required staff training and customer education, while also enabling us to optimize table utilization and reduce wait times that had begun affecting customer satisfaction during peak periods. Staff development became increasingly important, as our growth created opportunities for promotion and specialization that would improve both service quality and employee retention. The implementation of comprehensive training programs and competitive compensation packages attracted experienced hospitality professionals who elevated our operational standards while building loyalty that reduced turnover costs. My involvement in industry conferences and professional development activities expanded my knowledge of advanced restaurant management techniques, while also providing opportunities to establish relationships with suppliers, vendors, and other restaurateurs who could support continued growth and operational improvement. Charles's career advancement during this period included his appointment as managing partner for the corporate law division at Wellington Morrison & Associates, recognition that reflected both his legal expertise and his family's established position within the firm. The promotion required increased travel and longer working hours that reduced our time together, while also creating additional pressure to maintain family harmony. The social obligations accompanying Charles's partnership position included hosting client entertainment events and attending industry gatherings where his wife's presence and social performance would reflect on his professional image and the firm's reputation. These expectations created additional demands on my time, while also subjecting me to increased scrutiny from business associates and family members. The conflict between my restaurant's operational requirements and Charles's professional obligations became increasingly apparent during special events and holiday periods when both businesses demanded maximum attention and personal involvement. The competing priorities required careful coordination and compromise that sometimes resulted in disappointing one set of responsibilities to fulfill another. Margaret Wellington's concerns about my divided attention intensified as my business success generated local media coverage and industry recognition that seemed to overshadow Charles's professional achievements in terms of public visibility and community acknowledgement. Her comments suggested that my prominence was inappropriate for a Wellington family member and potentially damaging to Charles's career prospects. The family's expectations for my participation in their charitable activities and social events began creating scheduling conflicts with restaurant operations that required choosing between business responsibilities and family obligations. My attempts to accommodate both sets of demands often resulted in rushed appearances at family events or delegating critical business decisions to staff members who lacked complete authority. The strain on our marriage became evident through increased disagreements about priorities and decreased intimacy that reflected the stress and exhaustion created by managing competing demands from business and family obligations. Charles's loyalty remained divided between supporting my professional ambitions and maintaining harmony with his family's expectations. My restaurant's financial success enabled us to maintain our lifestyle and fulfill social obligations without financial stress, though the time demands and emotional energy required for business management left less capacity for nurturing our relationship and building the partnership we had envisioned during our engagement period. The isolation from Charles's family became more pronounced as their disapproval of my business focus created uncomfortable dynamics during family gatherings and holiday celebrations. Their conversations increasingly excluded references to my professional activities while emphasizing traditional family roles and social expectations that seemed designed to highlight my different priorities. The third year of marriage marked the beginning of systematic exclusion from family decisions and social planning that revealed the Wellington family's true assessment of my position within their hierarchy. The exclusions began subtly with social invitations that arrived after event dates had passed and family meetings scheduled during times when my restaurant responsibilities made attendance impossible. Margaret Wellington's organization of family charitable activities increasingly bypassed my potential participation, while including other family members' spouses in planning committees and leadership roles that would have provided opportunities for meaningful contribution. The pattern suggested deliberate marginalization rather than coincidental scheduling conflicts. Catherine Morrison's visits from Manhattan began including shopping expeditions and cultural activities that were planned and executed without invitations for my participation, despite her expressed interest in my business success and apparent friendship during family gatherings. The exclusion felt particularly painful because it suggested that personal relationships were subordinate to family loyalty. Patricia Wellington's coordination of grandchildren's activities and family celebrations consistently failed to accommodate my schedule or include my input on decisions that affected our household's participation. The oversights appeared systematic rather than accidental, creating situations where Charles faced choosing between family events and supporting his wife's business obligations. The family's traditional holiday celebrations began reflecting their subtle campaign to minimize my presence and influence within family traditions and decision-making processes. Christmas planning, vacation coordination, and gift-giving customs proceeded without my input, while expecting my compliance with decisions made without consideration for my preferences or constraints. My attempts to address these exclusions directly with family members were met with expressions of surprise and assurances that no slight had been intended, though the patterns continued without meaningful change. The gaslighting approach made it difficult to confront the behavior without appearing paranoid or oversensitive to reasonable explanations. Charles's responses to my concerns about family dynamics reflected his unwillingness to acknowledge the systematic nature of the exclusions or to confront his family's behavior on my behalf. His suggestions that I was misinterpreting innocent oversights or that increased participation in family activities would resolve the issues felt dismissive of my observations and experiences. The restaurant's continued success during this period provided both financial security and professional validation that offset some of the emotional impact of family rejection, though the combination of business demands and social isolation created stress that affected both my health and my marriage. Relationship. My decision to focus increased attention on business development and professional relationships reflected both practical necessity and emotional self-protection from family dynamics that had become consistently negative and draining. The strategy provided meaningful work and supportive relationships while reducing exposure to situations that generated conflict and disappointment. The development of friendships with other successful businesswomen who faced similar challenges, balancing professional ambitions with traditional family expectations, provided perspective and support that helped normalize my experiences while building relationships based on mutual respect rather than family obligation. The recognition that my marriage to Charles had not provided the family acceptance and support I had hoped for required adjusting expectations while maintaining commitment to our relationship, despite the challenges created by his family's attitudes and behavior. The fourth year of marriage brought escalating tensions as my restaurant's success continued growing, while the Wellington family's disapproval became increasingly overt and difficult to ignore or rationalize. The business had achieved regional recognition and was attracting investment interest that would enable expansion into additional markets, creating opportunities that exceeded anything Charles's family had accomplished in their respective fields. The irony of their dismissive attitude toward my achievements while regularly dining at my restaurant began creating cognitive dissonance that made their behavior appear even more unreasonable and hypocritical. Their enjoyment of the dining experience we provided conflicted with their refusal to acknowledge the skill and dedication required to create and maintain such standards. Magazine features highlighting Meridian Grove as one of the region's premier dining destinations included photographs and interviews that established my reputation as a respected entrepreneur and industry leader, recognition that seemed to intensify family resentment rather than generating pride or acceptance. The invitation to speak at the Regional Hospitality Conference represented acknowledgement of my expertise by industry peers, and provided a platform for sharing insights about successful restaurant operations with other entrepreneurs and established restaurateurs. The professional recognition validated my business acumen while also expanding my influence within the hospitality industry. Charles's attendance at the conference and his obvious pride in my presentation seemed to conflict with his unwillingness to defend my achievements against his family's dismissive comments and exclusionary behavior. The contradiction revealed the extent to which he compartmentalized our relationship from his family obligations. The strategic partnership opportunities emerging from industry connections provided potential for expanding Meridian Grove's concept into other markets while maintaining quality control and operational oversight that would preserve the standards that had created our success. The prospects represented validation of our business model and potential for significant growth. My decision to pursue expansion opportunities required additional financial investment and operational planning that would increase business demands while potentially creating even greater conflict with family expectations for my time and attention. The choice between limiting growth to accommodate family harmony or pursuing professional opportunities that aligned with my ambitions required careful consideration. The family's Christmas planning for the current year had proceeded without my input or consideration for my preferences, continuing the pattern of exclusion while expecting my participation in events planned without my involvement. The dynamic had become so predictable that I began preparing emotionally for whatever slight or oversight would characterize this year's celebration. The restaurant's holiday booking schedule reflected our established reputation as the preferred venue for special occasion dining, creating operational demands that required personal oversight during the critical holiday period when family gatherings traditionally occurred. The scheduling conflict would once again force choosing between business responsibilities and family obligations. Charles's suggestion that I delegate holiday operational responsibilities to staff members revealed his continued failure to understand both the business requirements for maintaining quality standards and the family dynamics that had made compromise increasingly difficult to justify. The stage was set for the confrontation that would finally bring all these underlying tensions into the open and create the moment of truth that would define our relationships permanently. The Christmas photo incident would provide the catalyst for revealing both the family's true attitudes and my own quiet achievements that had been developing beyond their knowledge or acknowledgement. The foundation had been established for a dramatic reversal that would transform perceptions and relationships in ways that none of us could have anticipated. The systematic exclusion and dismissive treatment were about to encounter the reality of my success and independence in the most public and undeniable way possible. The weeks leading to Christmas Eve represented the culmination of Meridian Grove's most successful year in operation, with revenues exceeding projections by 37% and customer satisfaction scores reaching unprecedented levels across all service categories. The holiday season booking schedule reflected our established position as the premier destination for celebratory dining throughout the tri-state region. The recognition from industry publications during this period included Meridian Grove's selection as Restaurant of the Year by Metropolitan Dining Magazine, an honor that acknowledged both culinary excellence and operational innovation across multiple assessment criteria. The award represented validation from respected food critics and hospitality professionals who had evaluated establishments throughout the region using rigorous standards for cuisine quality, service consistency, and overall dining experience. The magazine feature included a comprehensive profile of my entrepreneurial journey, from the initial market analysis that identified the opportunity through the systematic approach to building operational excellence and customer loyalty. The article emphasized the strategic thinking and attention to detail that had enabled a single location to achieve regional prominence, while maintaining the personal service standards that differentiated independent restaurants from corporate chains. Professional recognition extended beyond publications to include invitations for advisory board positions with hospitality industry associations and consulting opportunities with restaurant development companies seeking expertise in upscale, casual dining concepts. These opportunities provided additional revenue streams while establishing my reputation as a thought leader within the industry. The financial performance during the fourth quarter demonstrated the sustainable profitability and growth potential that had attracted interest from private equity firms specializing in restaurant investments. The preliminary discussions explored partnership structures that would provide capital for expansion, while preserving operational control and maintaining the quality standards that had created our success. Staff development initiatives implemented throughout the year had created a team of experienced professionals whose expertise and dedication enabled consistent execution of our service standards, even during peak demand periods. The investment in training and competitive compensation had generated employee loyalty that translated into superior customer experiences and operational efficiency. The expansion of our private dining capabilities had created additional revenue opportunities while showcasing our ability to accommodate special events and business functions that required customized service and menu planning. The success of these programs demonstrated our operational flexibility and established relationships with corporate clients who valued our attention to detail and professional execution. Menu development during this period had incorporated seasonal ingredients and innovative preparation techniques that maintained our culinary reputation while also controlling food costs through strategic supplier relationships and efficient kitchen operations. The balance between creativity and profitability required constant attention to market trends and customer preferences. The wine program expansion had created one of the region's most comprehensive selections of both established and emerging vintages, with pricing strategies that made quality wines accessible while also offering premium options for special occasions. The sommelier training for key staff members had enhanced our ability to provide expert recommendations that improved customer satisfaction and increased average transaction values. Technology integration throughout our operations had improved efficiency while maintaining the personal service approach that distinguished our customer experience from more automated competitors. The reservation system, inventory management, and staff scheduling platforms enabled better resource utilization while preserving the flexibility required for accommodating special requests and maintaining service quality. The community involvement initiatives had strengthened our local relationships while demonstrating corporate responsibility that enhanced our reputation beyond purely business metrics. Participation in charitable events and support for local suppliers had created goodwill that generated customer loyalty and positive word-of-mouth marketing. The success metrics extended beyond financial performance to include customer retention, rates, positive review percentages, and staff satisfaction scores that indicated sustainable competitive advantages rather than temporary market conditions. The comprehensive approach to excellence had created a business model that generated consistent results while providing foundation for future growth. The Wellington family's Christmas celebration planning had proceeded according to their established traditions and social obligations, with Margaret Wellington coordinating the elaborate dinner party that would include extended family members and select business associates whose attendance reflected the social and professional relationships that defined their community standing. The guest list represented a careful curation of relationships that served both social and business purposes, including long-standing family friends whose presence honored traditional connections and newer associates whose inclusion acknowledged evolving professional networks. The selection process reflected Margaret's sophisticated understanding of social dynamics and strategic relationship management. The venue selection for this year's celebration represented a departure from previous family gatherings held at the Wellington estate, with Margaret choosing Meridian Grove as the location that would provide the appropriate ambiance and service quality for entertaining their distinguished guests. The decision had been made without consulting me or acknowledging the irony of selecting my restaurant while maintaining their dismissive attitude toward my professional achievements. The menu planning process had been conducted through our events coordinator rather than direct communication with me, despite my ownership of the establishment and my expertise in customizing dining experiences for special occasions. The approach reflected their continued pattern of treating me as peripheral to their activities, even when those activities directly involved my business. The private dining room reservation had been secured through Charles's assistant rather than normal booking procedures, creating administrative complications that required staff intervention to ensure proper coordination with our operational schedule. The irregular approach suggested either deliberate avoidance of direct communication or complete disregard for standard business practices. The seating arrangements for the dinner had been planned by Patricia Wellington, according to family hierarchy and social protocol that reflected traditional preferences rather than considering relationship dynamics or conversational compatibility. The formal structure would emphasize status distinctions while potentially limiting natural interaction among guests with diverse backgrounds and interests. The gift exchange traditions had been organized by Catherine Morrison according to elaborate rules and spending guidelines that reflected family wealth while also creating competitive dynamics among participants. The emphasis on expensive presents and conspicuous consumption conflicted with values of thoughtfulness and personal consideration that might have created more meaningful exchanges. The photography planning had been coordinated by Michael Wellington's wife to document the celebration according to family preferences for formal portraits and group arrangements that would preserve memories while also providing images suitable for holiday cards and social media sharing. The detailed planning suggested the importance placed on visual documentation of family unity and social success. The service expectations communicated to restaurant staff emphasized formal presentation and attentive service that would reflect positively on the family's reputation, while also demonstrating their familiarity with fine dining standards. The instructions revealed their assumption that their event deserved special treatment beyond normal service protocols. The timeline for the evening had been structured to accommodate multiple courses and extended conversation periods that would allow for relationship building and business discussion among guests with varied interests and professional backgrounds. The schedule reflected sophisticated event planning while also creating opportunities for the social and professional networking that characterized Wellington family gatherings. The dress code specifications had been communicated to all family members and guests to ensure appropriate formality and coordination that would create the elegant atmosphere Margaret Wellington considered essential for successful entertaining. The attention to appearance details reflected understanding of how visual presentation contributes to overall event success and guest comfort. The coordination with restaurant management had been limited to logistical details and service requirements, rather than collaborative planning that might have enhanced the dining experience through customized menu selections or special preparation techniques. The approach suggested either missed opportunities for optimization or deliberate limitation of my involvement in their event planning. The Christmas Eve timeline created immediate conflict between my restaurant's operational requirements during our busiest service period and the Wellington family's expectations for my attendance at their celebration as Charles's wife and family member. The competing obligations represented the culmination of years of tension between professional responsibilities and family demands. The restaurant's reservation schedule for Christmas Eve included 3 complete seatings with waiting lists that exceeded our capacity, reflecting the establishment's reputation as the preferred venue for holiday celebrations throughout the region. The service demands required my personal oversight to ensure quality standards were maintained during our most critical operational period. Staff scheduling for the evening had been planned to accommodate maximum capacity while ensuring adequate coverage for all service positions, though the complexity of managing multiple private events simultaneously with regular dining room operations created coordination challenges that required experienced supervision and real-time problem-solving. The kitchen preparation timeline included specialized holiday menu items and customized preparations for private dining events that required coordination between different culinary teams while maintaining normal menu availability for regular customers. The operational complexity demanded direct management involvement to prevent quality compromises or service delays. The Wellington family's dinner reservation had been scheduled during our peak service period, creating the scheduling conflict that would force choosing between supervising restaurant operations and attending the family celebration as Charles's wife. The timing appeared either coincidental or deliberately designed to test my priorities and commitment to family obligations. Charles's expectation that I would prioritize family attendance over business responsibilities reflected his continued failure to understand both the operational requirements of restaurant management and the financial implications of compromising service quality during our most profitable period. His suggestion that staff members could handle operations without my presence demonstrated disconnection from business realities. The financial impact of delegating complete operational responsibility during Christmas Eve service included potential revenue loss from service failures and long-term reputation damage from quality compromises that could affect future customer loyalty and competitive positioning. The risks extended beyond immediate concerns to include sustainable business performance. The staff's professional development and confidence would be enhanced by successfully managing complex operations independently, though the Christmas Eve service level created exceptional challenges that exceeded normal training scenarios and required experienced oversight for optimal execution. The balance between development opportunities and risk management required careful consideration. The customer expectations for Christmas Eve dining included heightened service standards and memorable experiences that would justify premium pricing while also creating positive associations that would encourage future patronage and referral generation. The service quality would directly influence both immediate satisfaction and long-term business development. The competitive implications of service quality during high visibility periods included potential market share changes and reputation, effects that could influence customer preference decisions for future special occasions. The performance during Christmas Eve would be evaluated against other upscale dining options and could affect our market position significantly. The legal and contractual obligations to private dining clients included service-level guarantees and quality standards that created potential liability issues if operational oversight proved inadequate during critical service periods. The professional responsibilities extended beyond customer satisfaction to include contractual compliance and risk management. The personal stress and emotional impact of choosing between family obligations and professional responsibilities created additional complexity beyond practical considerations, affecting both marriage relationship dynamics and individual self-respect regarding professional commitments and business ethics. The revelation of the Wellington family's photography plans emerged 3 days before Christmas Eve, when Patricia Wellington casually mentioned during a family gathering that professional portraits would be taken during dinner to capture formal family images for their annual holiday cards and social media presentations. The discussion of photography arrangements proceeded as if my participation was neither expected nor desired, with detailed planning for group compositions and individual portraits that excluded any consideration of my inclusion, despite my marriage to Charles and my legal status as a family member. The oversight appeared too systematic to be accidental. Margaret Wellington's coordination of the photography session included specific instructions for poses and arrangements that would showcase family unity and social prominence, while apparently overlooking my presence or role within the family structure. The planning process revealed organizational skills and attention to detail that made the exclusion appear deliberate rather than coincidental. Charles's silence during the photography planning discussion created uncomfortable awareness that he was either unaware of my exclusion or unwilling to address the obvious oversight with his family members. His passive acceptance of arrangements that excluded his wife suggested either insensitivity or deliberate avoidance of potential conflict with his family. The photographer selection process had emphasized professional credentials and experience, with formal family portraits that would create images suitable for public use and archival preservation, indicating the importance placed on documenting family relationships and social status through high-quality visual representation. The timing coordination between photography sessions and dinner service had been planned to minimize disruption to the dining experience while ensuring adequate time for multiple group combinations and individual portraits that would provide comprehensive documentation of family relationships and social connections. The costume coordination had included detailed instructions for color schemes and formal attire that would create visual harmony in photographs while also reflecting appropriate sophistication for the family's social position and public image. The planning demonstrated understanding of how visual presentation influences perception and social standing. The location planning within the restaurant had identified optimal settings and lighting conditions for formal photography while minimizing interference with other dining guests and restaurant operations. The coordination reflected consideration for both family needs and business requirements of other customers. The image distribution planning had included arrangements for digital sharing and print production that would enable use across multiple platforms and purposes, from holiday cards to social media posts to archival family documentation. The comprehensive approach suggested serious investment in creating lasting visual records. The exclusion became apparent when Patricia Wellington requested final confirmation of family member attendance for photography planning purposes and proceeded through a detailed list that omitted my name while including all other spouses and family members. The systematic oversight could not be explained by coincidence or administrative error. My decision to address the exclusion directly with Charles required careful consideration of timing and approach that would communicate concerns without creating additional family conflict or forcing him to choose between supporting his wife and maintaining family harmony. The conversation would test both our marriage strength and his willingness to defend my position within his family. The emotional impact of deliberate exclusion from family documentation created feelings of rejection and marginalization that extended beyond simple disappointment to question fundamental assumptions about acceptance and belonging within the Wellington family structure. The calculated nature of the slight made the impact more significant than casual oversight. The strategic implications of allowing the exclusion to proceed without challenge included potential precedent setting for future family events and continued marginalization that would affect long-term relationship dynamics. The response would establish boundaries and expectations for future family interactions and my role within their social structure. The preparation for confronting this exclusion required developing communication strategies that would address the immediate issue while also establishing principles for ongoing family relationships that would prevent similar incidents and create sustainable interaction patterns based on mutual respect rather than conditional acceptance. The stage was perfectly set for the dramatic revelation that would transform these family dynamics permanently and demonstrate the reality of success that had been developing quietly while they focused on maintaining appearances and social hierarchies that reflected outdated assumptions about worth and achievement. Christmas Eve arrived with exceptional winter weather that enhanced the festive atmosphere throughout Westchester County while creating perfect conditions for the Wellington family celebration that would unfold at Meridian Grove. The restaurant had been transformed into an elegant holiday setting through carefully coordinated decorations that maintained sophistication while acknowledging the seasonal significance of the evening. The advanced preparation for the Wellington family event had required extensive coordination between our events team and the family's representatives to ensure every detail met their exacting standards for formal entertaining. The private dining room had been arranged according to their specifications while maintaining the aesthetic coherence that characterized our establishment's overall design philosophy. My morning began with comprehensive operational reviews to ensure all departments were prepared for the demanding service schedule that included the Wellington celebration alongside our regular Christmas Eve reservations. The coordination required precise timing and flawless execution across multiple service teams while maintaining the quality standards that had established our reputation. The kitchen preparation commenced before dawn with specialized holiday menu items and customized preparations that would serve both private dining events and regular customers throughout the evening. The culinary team had spent weeks perfecting recipes and presentation techniques that would create memorable dining experiences worthy of the occasion's significance. Staff briefings emphasized the importance of exceptional service during our most visible operational period, when customer expectations reached their highest levels, and service quality would influence both immediate satisfaction and long-term loyalty. The team's professional development and restaurant reputation depended upon flawless execution during this critical evening. The wine selection and beverage preparation had been coordinated to accommodate diverse preferences while highlighting premium offerings that would enhance the overall dining experience and demonstrate our commitment to excellence across all service categories. The sommelier had created special pairings that would showcase both culinary creativity and beverage expertise. Early afternoon brought the arrival of the professional photographer who would document the Wellington family celebration, along with additional equipment and assistance required for formal portrait sessions within our dining environment. The setup process required coordination with our normal operations while ensuring adequate space and lighting for high-quality photography. The flower arrangements and table settings had been installed according to Margaret Wellington's specifications, while maintaining harmony with our restaurant's established aesthetic standards. The coordination between their preferences and our design philosophy created elegant presentations that satisfied both parties while enhancing the overall atmospheric quality. The private dining room final preparations included sound system testing for background music and speech amplification, along with temperature control adjustments that would ensure guest comfort throughout the extended evening celebration. The attention to environmental details reflected our commitment to creating optimal conditions for memorable experiences. My personal preparation included selecting appropriate attire that would reflect both my professional role as restaurant owner and my family position as Charles's wife, while navigating the complex social dynamics that had characterized our relationship with his family. The clothing choice required balancing multiple considerations and expectations simultaneously. The Wellington family's arrival occurred precisely according to their planned schedule, with multiple vehicles delivering family members and guests, whose coordinated formal attire reflected the sophisticated social event they had organized. The procession created an impressive visual presentation that demonstrated their collective wealth and social prominence. Margaret Wellington's entrance commanded immediate attention through her elegant presentation and authoritative bearing. That established her role as the evening's hostess, despite the celebration occurring within my establishment. Her ability to assume control of social dynamics revealed decades of experience managing complex family and business entertaining. Charles accompanied his parents while maintaining the diplomatic balance between family loyalty and spousal support that had characterized his approach throughout our marriage. His demeanor suggested awareness of potential tensions while avoiding direct acknowledgement of the complex dynamics that had created this unusual situation. The extended family members and invited guests represented an impressive collection of local business leaders, social influencers, and long-standing family friends whose presence validated the Wellington family's community standing while creating networking opportunities that served both social and professional purposes. Patricia Wellington's coordination of the arrival process demonstrated organizational skills and social awareness that ensured smooth transitions from individual greetings to group formations while managing the logistics of accommodating multiple generations and diverse personality types within the private dining space. Catherine Morrison's sophisticated presence and engaging conversation skills helped establish the refined social atmosphere that would characterize the evening's interactions while providing diplomatic bridges between different guest categories and family member relationships with varying degrees of complexity. Michael Wellington's professional bearing and business acumen became apparent through his conversations with invited associates, while his obvious comfort within family dynamics suggested long-standing patterns of interaction and established roles within the family hierarchy that guided behavior and expectations. Andrew Wellington's academic perspective and intellectual contributions provided balance to the business-focused discussions while demonstrating the family's diverse achievements and interests that extended beyond purely financial success to include scholarly recognition and cultural sophistication. The guest introductions and initial social interactions proceeded according to established protocols that reflected Margaret Wellington's event planning expertise while creating opportunities for relationship building and professional networking among attendees with complementary interests and business connections. Our restaurant staff provided impeccable service during the arrival period through discreet assistance with seating arrangements, beverage service, and personal needs, while maintaining professional distance that allowed family interactions to Proceed naturally without external interference or observation. The photography preparation commenced with equipment testing and lighting adjustments, while the photographer consulted with family members about preferred arrangements and timing that would optimize both technical quality and aesthetic presentation of the formal portraits that would document this significant family celebration. The initial cocktail reception created relaxed social atmosphere that enabled natural conversation development and relationship building among guests who possessed diverse backgrounds while sharing connections to the Wellington family through business associations, social relationships, or extended family connections. The transition from cocktail reception to formal dining proceeded smoothly, according to Margaret Wellington's detailed timeline, with guests moving from standing reception areas to assigned seating arrangements that reflected careful consideration of personality compatibility and conversation optimization. The coordination demonstrated sophisticated event planning while maintaining social harmony. The photography session commenced during the natural pause between reception and dinner service, when guests were positioned optimally for formal portraits, while maintaining comfort levels and engagement with the celebratory atmosphere. The timing reflected professional coordination between photographer and family representatives. Margaret Wellington's announcement of the photography session included detailed instructions for family member positioning and group arrangements that would create comprehensive documentation of family relationships and social connections through multiple portrait combinations and individual presentations. The systematic exclusion became apparent when family members were organized according to predetermined arrangements that had been planned without my inclusion, despite my presence in the dining room and my legal status as Charles's wife and official family member through our marriage relationship. Charles's initial failure to recognize or address my exclusion from family portraits created uncomfortable awareness that either he had not been informed of the photography plans or he had accepted arrangements that systematically omitted his wife from family documentation without questioning the decision or advocating for inclusion. The photographer's professional approach included following detailed instructions provided by family members while maintaining diplomatic neutrality regarding family dynamics and social relationships that extended beyond technical photography requirements and artistic presentation considerations. Patricia Wellington's coordination of family groupings proceeded according to predetermined plans that included various combinations of parents, siblings, spouses, and children, while consistently omitting any arrangements that would include my participation in formal family documentation despite my obvious presence and family connection. The guests' observations of the photography arrangements created social tension as the systematic exclusion became apparent to individuals outside the immediate family who possessed normal expectations for inclusive family documentation that would acknowledge all marriage relationships and family connections represented at the celebration. Catherine Morrison's participation in family portraits alongside her husband James demonstrated the standard inclusion of spouses in family documentation, while highlighting the conspicuous absence of similar consideration for my participation, despite equivalent family status through marriage to Charles Wellington. Michael Wellington's inclusion of his wife and children in extended family portraits established clear precedent for comprehensive family representation that made my exclusion appear deliberately calculated rather than coincidental oversight or logistical limitation created by group size or timing constraints. The emotional impact of witnessing systematic exclusion from family documentation while physically present in the room created profound feelings of rejection and marginalization that transcended simple disappointment to question fundamental assumptions about family acceptance and personal worth within established social relationships. My decision to address the exclusion directly required careful consideration of timing and approach that would communicate concerns effectively while maintaining professional composure within my own establishment and preserving dignity despite the obviously calculated nature of the insult being delivered publicly. The moment of decision arrived when Margaret Wellington announced the final family portrait that would include all family members for comprehensive documentation of the Christmas Eve celebration, proceeding with arrangements that continued to exclude my participation while including every other spouse and family member present at the gathering. My approach to address the exclusion required maintaining professional composure while clearly communicating the inappropriateness of the arrangements and the necessity for immediate correction that would acknowledge my family status and ensure appropriate inclusion in family documentation that reflected actual relationship realities. I believe there has been an oversight in the photography arrangements, I stated with measured calm, while positioning myself within the group formation area to make my expected inclusion obvious to all family members and guests present in the dining room during this significant documentation moment. Margaret Wellington's response revealed the calculated nature of the exclusion through her surprised expression and hesitant explanation that suggested the omission had been deliberate rather than accidental oversight, requiring simple correction and accommodation within existing photography plans and family grouping arrangements. "Victoria, this is a Wellington family portrait," Margaret explained with cool precision that left no doubt about her intention to maintain the exclusion while creating public justification for arrangements that deliberately marginalized my family status despite my marriage to Charles and legal relationship to all family members. The public nature of the confrontation within my own restaurant, while surrounded by distinguished guests who possessed normal expectations for inclusive family behavior, created additional pressure for diplomatic resolution while highlighting the inappropriate character of the exclusion attempt and social impropriety of the family's behavior. Charles's delayed response to the conflict demonstrated his continued reluctance to choose between family loyalty and spousal support, while revealing his discomfort with both the exclusion arrangements and the necessity for public confrontation. That would require definitive position-taking and relationship priority establishment. "Mom, Victoria is part of the family," Charles stated with obvious reluctance, while his tone suggested diplomatic compromise rather than principled defense of appropriate treatment and inclusion rights that should have been automatic rather than requiring negotiation or special consideration from family members. Margaret Wellington's dismissive response included subtle implications about temporary family relationships and conditional acceptance that revealed long-standing attitudes about my position within family hierarchy and assumptions about permanent status that reflected deeper prejudices and social class considerations. The photographer's professional discomfort became apparent through his neutral stance and diplomatic suggestions for accommodating all family members while avoiding involvement in family dynamics that extended beyond technical photography requirements and artistic presentation considerations that constituted his professional responsibilities. The guest observations of family conflict created social tension that reflected poorly on Wellington family unity and hospitality standards, while demonstrating inappropriate behavior toward a family member within a public setting that included business associates and community influencers whose opinions would affect reputation and social standing. Patricia Wellington's attempt to mediate the conflict through compromise suggestions revealed her awareness of the inappropriate nature of the exclusion, while demonstrating reluctance to directly confront Margaret Wellington's authority regarding family event planning and social protocol determination within established hierarchy patterns. The transformation of the entire evening's dynamic occurred when I made the strategic decision to reveal information that would fundamentally alter all family members' understanding of the situation, while demonstrating the extent to which their assumptions about power relationships and social hierarchies had been completely incorrect. "Perhaps it would be appropriate to discuss this matter with the restaurant owner," I stated with calm authority, while allowing the implications of my statement to register among family members and guests who had not previously understood the actual ownership structure of the establishment where they were celebrating. The initial confusion among family members reflected their assumption that my presence at the restaurant represented my role as Charles's wife, rather than my position as the business owner whose permission had been required for their private dining arrangements and whose establishment had been selected for their family celebration. Margaret Wellington's expression transformed from confident authority to shocked realization as the implications of my statement became clear, and the power dynamics of the entire evening shifted dramatically from her position of social control to my position of business ownership and ultimate authority over their celebration venue. "What exactly are you saying?" Margaret asked with diminished confidence, while her tone revealed growing awareness that fundamental assumptions about the evening's arrangements and relative positions of authority had been based on incomplete information about actual business ownership and operational control. "I am saying that I own Meridian Grove," I announced with quiet dignity, while allowing the complete significance of this revelation to register among all family members and guests whose understanding of business relationships and social dynamics would require immediate and comprehensive revision. The silence that followed this announcement reflected the magnitude of realization that their systematic exclusion and dismissive treatment had been directed toward the person whose business success had created the venue they had selected for their family celebration and whose operational standards had established the service quality they had specifically sought. Charles's expression revealed his own surprise at the public nature of this revelation, despite his awareness of my business ownership, suggesting that he had not previously considered the implications of his family's behavior toward the owner of their preferred dining establishment and the professional discourtesy their treatment represented. The photographer's continued professional neutrality became more challenging as the family conflict evolved into a business relationship revelation that created complex social dynamics requiring diplomatic navigation between competing loyalties and professional obligations to all parties involved in the evening's documentation. Patricia Wellington's shock reflected not only surprise about business ownership, but recognition of the implications for family behavior and social relationships that would require fundamental reassessment of attitudes and treatment patterns that had been based on incorrect assumptions about relative positions and achievements. Catherine Morrison's sophisticated social awareness enabled rapid comprehension of the evening's transformation and the necessity for immediate adjustment of family dynamics to acknowledge the reality of business success and professional achievement that had been systematically minimized and dismissed through years of inappropriate treatment. Michael Wellington's business acumen provided understanding of the financial success and operational expertise required for establishing and maintaining a restaurant of Meridian Grove's caliber while recognizing the professional accomplishment that his family had failed to acknowledge or appreciate appropriately. The guest reactions ranged from surprise to admiration as the revelation provided context for understanding both the service quality they had experienced and the business success that had been achieved by someone they had observed being treated dismissively by family members throughout the evening's interactions. The complete reversal of power dynamics required immediate adjustment of all social relationships and communication patterns, while family members processed the implications of their behavior toward someone whose professional achievements exceeded their own accomplishments in terms of business building and operational success within competitive market conditions. The revelation of my ownership of Meridian Grove created a profound silence that stretched across the private dining room as family members and guests processed the complete transformation of their understanding regarding the evening's circumstances. The weight of recognition settled over the gathering as individuals comprehended the extent to which their assumptions about relationships, achievements, and social hierarchies had been fundamentally incorrect. Margaret Wellington's composure, which had remained unshakable throughout decades of social leadership and family management, visibly faltered as she grappled with the implications of having systematically excluded and dismissed the owner of the establishment she had specifically selected for their family celebration. Her expression revealed the cognitive dissonance created by confronting evidence that contradicted years of assumptions about my capabilities and professional status. The transformation in Margaret's demeanor reflected not merely surprise about business ownership but recognition of the sophisticated operational management and strategic vision required to create and sustain a restaurant of Meridian Grove's caliber. Her extensive experience with fine dining establishments provided understanding of the complexity and expertise necessary for achieving the service standards and reputation that had attracted their family's patronage. Charles's reaction encompassed both pride in my achievements and discomfort regarding his failure to adequately defend my position within family dynamics that had systematically minimized my contributions and professional accomplishments. His expression suggested internal conflict between satisfaction about my success and recognition of his inadequate support during years of family tensions and exclusionary behavior. The realization that Charles had maintained knowledge of my business ownership while allowing family members to continue their dismissive treatment created additional complexity regarding his loyalty and judgment. His silence during previous conflicts had enabled the continuation of inappropriate behavior that could have been prevented through honest communication about my professional achievements and business success. Patricia Wellington's sophisticated social awareness enabled rapid comprehension of the professional accomplishment represented by successful restaurant ownership, while recognizing the implications for family relationships that would require fundamental reassessment. Her background in managing complex social dynamics provided understanding of the delicate process necessary for rebuilding relationships after such significant misunderstandings. The acknowledgement that Patricia and other family members had been regular customers at Meridian Grove without recognizing my ownership revealed the extent to which they had compartmentalized their perception of my identity and capabilities. Their enjoyment of the dining experience had occurred independently of any awareness regarding the business leadership and operational excellence that created their satisfaction. Catherine Morrison's business acumen, developed through her husband's financial industry connections, provided appreciation for the entrepreneurial achievement and market success, represented by establishing a premier dining destination in a competitive hospitality environment. Her recognition extended beyond simple business ownership to encompass understanding of the strategic thinking and execution capabilities required for sustainable success. The realization that Catherine had frequently recommended Meridian Grove to Manhattan business associates without knowledge of my connection to the establishment created ironic appreciation for the quality standards and reputation that had developed through systematic attention to operational excellence and customer satisfaction initiatives. Michael Wellington's legal background provided understanding of the business formation complexities and regulatory compliance requirements involved in restaurant ownership, while recognizing the financial management and risk assessment capabilities necessary for maintaining profitability in a challenging industry characterized by high failure rates and intense competition. Andrew Wellington's academic perspective enabled appreciation for the research and analytical thinking required for successful business development, while recognizing the practical application of theoretical concepts to real-world market conditions and operational challenges that characterize entrepreneurial ventures in service industries. The professional photographer's continued documentation of family interactions captured the transformation in dynamics and relationships that would provide lasting evidence of this significant evening's impact on Wellington family history. The images would serve as reminder of the moment when assumptions about achievement and capability were fundamentally revised through direct confrontation with reality. The distinguished guests who had been invited to witness what was intended as a demonstration of Wellington family unity and social prominence, instead observed a dramatic revelation that highlighted the family's failure to recognize and appreciate extraordinary achievement within their own circle. The social implications extended beyond immediate embarrassment to include longer-term reputation effects within their community network. The business leaders present at the celebration possessed sufficient experience to recognize the significant accomplishment represented by successful restaurant ownership and the operational expertise required for creating the service quality they had experienced during their dining at Meridian Grove. Their newfound understanding of my professional achievement created respect that contrasted sharply with the dismissive treatment they had witnessed earlier in the evening. Several guests approached me directly following the revelation to express admiration for my business success and to request opportunities for future conversations about entrepreneurship and hospitality industry insights. Their interest reflected genuine appreciation for professional accomplishment, while also demonstrating the networking opportunities that emerged from public recognition of achievement. The community influencers in attendance recognized the implications for Wellington family reputation within local business and social circles, where entrepreneurial success and independent achievement were valued more highly than inherited position or traditional social markers. The evening's events would generate discussions that extended far beyond the immediate family celebration. The cultural sophistication demonstrated through Meridian Grove's aesthetic presentation and service standards impressed guests who possessed extensive experience with fine dining establishments throughout the metropolitan region. Their recognition of operational excellence provided third-party validation of business achievement that family members could no longer dismiss or minimize. The investment professionals present understood the financial acumen and market analysis capabilities required for successful restaurant development, while recognizing the ongoing management skills necessary for sustaining profitability and growth in a competitive business environment characterized by economic volatility and changing consumer preferences. The charitable organization leaders who had worked with Margaret Wellington on various community initiatives recognized the strategic thinking and organizational capabilities that had enabled my business success while appreciating the potential for future collaboration on projects that could benefit from entrepreneurial expertise and community involvement. The legal professionals who maintained relationships with Wellington, Morrison and Associates understood the business formation and compliance requirements involved in restaurant ownership while recognizing the risk management and contractual expertise necessary for successful operations in a highly regulated industry with complex supplier and customer relationships. The conversations that developed following the revelation reflected genuine interest in learning about my entrepreneurial journey and business development strategies, while demonstrating respect for achievement that had been earned through systematic effort and strategic planning rather than inherited advantages or social connections. The social media implications of the evening's events would extend the impact beyond immediate attendees to include broader community awareness of both my business success and the family dynamics that had characterized the Wellington family's treatment of entrepreneurial achievement within their own circle. The networking opportunities that emerged from public recognition of my professional accomplishments created potential for future business development and community involvement that would enhance both Meridian Grove's market position and my personal influence within regional business and social networks. The revelation of my restaurant ownership within the context of family conflict created immediate necessity for Charles to acknowledge his complex position regarding loyalty between family traditions and spousal support, while recognizing his failure to adequately defend my achievements and professional capabilities during years of systematic dismissal and exclusionary behavior. Charles's professional reputation within the legal community would benefit from association with entrepreneurial success and business achievement, while his personal integrity would be evaluated based on his response to the evening's events and his future treatment of the marriage relationship in light of demonstrated business capabilities and financial independence. The recognition that Charles had maintained knowledge of my business ownership while allowing family misconceptions and dismissive treatment to continue raised questions about his judgment and commitment to partnership principles that should have guided his behavior during family conflicts and social situations requiring spousal advocacy. The financial implications of my business success for our household economy had been significant throughout our marriage, while Charles's family had remained unaware of the economic foundation that had supported their preferred lifestyle and social activities through restaurant profitability and strategic business development. The professional networking opportunities available through my hospitality industry connections could enhance Charles's legal practice through client development and business relationship expansion, while demonstrating the mutual benefits that could result from acknowledging and supporting spousal achievements rather than minimizing professional capabilities. The marriage counseling discussions that would necessarily follow the evening's events would require addressing communication patterns and loyalty priorities that had enabled family dysfunction and relationship conflicts to persist without adequate resolution or protection of partnership integrity against external pressure and social expectations. The public nature of the revelation within our social community would require Charles to demonstrate consistent support for my business achievements and professional capabilities, while establishing clear boundaries regarding family behavior and expectations that had previously compromised our marriage relationship through systematic undermining and exclusionary treatment. The legal expertise that Charles possessed could provide valuable support for business expansion and development opportunities while his understanding of contract negotiation and risk management could enhance strategic planning for future growth initiatives and market development activities. The social obligations that accompanied Charles's partnership position at Wellington, Morrison and Associates would be enhanced through association with successful entrepreneurship, while his professional credibility would benefit from recognition of his marriage to an accomplished business owner whose achievements demonstrated judgment and capability. The family therapy sessions that would become necessary for addressing dysfunctional patterns and relationship dynamics would require Charles to acknowledge his enabling behavior while developing communication skills and conflict resolution approaches that prioritized marriage partnership over family hierarchy and traditional social expectations. The community leadership opportunities that could emerge from our combined professional capabilities would enable greater influence and impact, while demonstrating the potential for collaborative achievement that transcended individual success. To create broader community benefit and social contribution, the fundamental challenge facing Margaret Wellington involved acknowledging the extent to which her social perceptions and family management strategies had been based on incomplete information and prejudicial assumptions that had prevented recognition of extraordinary achievement and professional capability within her own family circle. Margaret's extensive experience with community leadership and charitable organization management provided understanding of the strategic thinking and operational expertise required for successful business development, while recognizing the personal characteristics and professional capabilities that had enabled my restaurant's achievement and market recognition. The social embarrassment created by public revelation of her dismissive treatment toward a successful business owner would require careful reputation management within community circles where entrepreneurial achievement was valued and where her behavior would be evaluated according to standards of fairness and social grace. The recognition that Meridian Grove had been selected for family celebrations specifically because of its superior service quality and sophisticated atmosphere created cognitive dissonance regarding her previous dismissal of my professional capabilities and business acumen, while acknowledging the contradiction between her venue choice and her family treatment patterns. The charitable fundraising events that Margaret had organized at Meridian Grove, without awareness of my ownership, demonstrated the extent to which she had compartmentalized her perception of my identity while benefiting from business services and operational excellence that she had failed to attribute to appropriate sources. The community leadership positions that Margaret maintained would require demonstrating fairness and inclusivity principles that aligned with her public advocacy while addressing the inconsistency between her stated values and her family behavior. Regarding recognition of achievement and equal treatment of accomplished individuals, the social network relationships that Margaret had cultivated throughout decades of community involvement would provide opportunities for demonstrating growth and adaptation, while acknowledging previous misconceptions and establishing new patterns of behavior that reflected accurate understanding of capabilities and achievements. The family harmony restoration that Margaret would need to facilitate would require acknowledging her role in creating dysfunction and exclusionary behavior while developing new approaches to relationship management that prioritized fairness and recognition over traditional hierarchy and social convention adherence. The mentorship opportunities that could emerge from recognizing my business success would enable Margaret to contribute positively to entrepreneurial development while demonstrating support for achievement, regardless of background or social origin, assumptions that had previously influenced her judgment. The legacy implications of the evening's events for Wellington family history would require Margaret to choose between maintaining defensive positions regarding previous behavior or embracing growth opportunities that could enhance family relationships and community reputation through demonstrated commitment to fairness and achievement recognition. The public acknowledgement of my restaurant ownership within the context of a prominent family celebration created immediate validation of business achievement while demonstrating the extent to which successful entrepreneurship had developed independently of social recognition or family support systems that had failed to provide appropriate encouragement or acknowledgement. The hospitality industry professionals who learned of the evening's events would recognize the significance of creating a dining establishment that attracted regular patronage from discerning customers who remained unaware of ownership identity. While consistently choosing the venue for important celebrations and business entertainment activities, The business development opportunities that emerged from increased visibility and recognition would enable strategic expansion and market development initiatives while demonstrating the potential for leveraging success into broader influence and industry leadership positions that could benefit both Meridian Grove and the regional hospitality sector. The entrepreneurial achievement represented by building a successful restaurant from market research through operational excellence provided a comprehensive case study in strategic business development while demonstrating the systematic approach and sustained effort required for creating sustainable competitive advantages in challenging market conditions. The operational standards that had been established at Meridian Grove would serve as benchmarks for industry best practices, while providing examples of service excellence and customer satisfaction strategies that could influence broader hospitality. Industry development through knowledge sharing and professional mentorship activities. The financial success metrics achieved through systematic business development would provide credible foundation for consulting opportunities and advisory positions within hospitality industry organizations, while demonstrating practical expertise in market analysis, operational management, and customer relationship development strategies. The community economic impact created through successful restaurant operations included employment generation, supplier relationship development, and local economic multiplier effects that contributed to regional prosperity while demonstrating the broader benefits of entrepreneurial achievement beyond individual business success. The innovation approaches implemented throughout Meridian Grove's development could provide insights for other entrepreneurs and business owners while contributing to industry knowledge and best practice development through professional association participation and thought leadership activities. The strategic planning capabilities demonstrated through business growth and market position development would qualify me for board positions and advisory roles within business development organizations while providing opportunities for contributing to entrepreneurial education and support programs for emerging business owners. The recognition that my achievement had occurred without family support or social advantage would inspire other entrepreneurs who faced similar challenges while demonstrating that business success results from systematic effort and strategic thinking rather than inherited advantages or social connections that provide external validation and resource access. The days following the Christmas Eve revelation required careful consideration of how to proceed with family relationships that had been fundamentally transformed by the acknowledgement of my business achievements and the recognition of their previous misconceptions. The choice between leveraging vindication for continued confrontation or utilizing the opportunity for constructive relationship building would determine the long-term outcomes for both family harmony and personal satisfaction. The satisfaction derived from proving my capabilities and exposing their misguided assumptions provided temporary emotional relief, yet the more significant opportunity lay in demonstrating the leadership and magnanimity that would establish lasting respect while creating conditions for genuine family unity. The strategic approach would require balancing accountability for past behavior with forward-looking relationship development that served everyone's interests. Margaret Wellington's request for a private conversation arrived 3 days after Christmas Eve, delivered through a formal note that reflected both her traditional communication style and her recognition that the situation required deliberate attention rather than casual discussion. The invitation represented acknowledgement of the need for direct dialogue while maintaining the dignity that would enable productive conversation. The meeting arrangement at my restaurant during off hours provided neutral territory that acknowledged my professional position while avoiding the social dynamics that might complicate discussion within family home environments. The setting would enable frank conversation while demonstrating the business environment that had created my success and established my credibility within the hospitality industry. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.